Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I want to do something a bit different today and walk you through my net worth at 34. We're coming up to the end of the year and I thought it'll be a great time to do a net worth update. Check in on where I'm at, talk through some of my milestones and what's changed along the way. I'll walk through each of my accounts, how I manage my money, what I'm investing in, and I'll give the total at the end. I actually enjoy watching these videos myself, so I figured to do the same here. Before we get into the numbers, I just want to do a quick disclaimer. So I know everyone's financial situation is different and we all start from different places in life, but I've been very fortunate. I'm very blessed to be in the position I'm in now. So I'm very grateful. I don't take that lightly. And when I share these numbers, it's not meant to flex or I'm not trying to compare myself to anyone else. I'm sure there's plenty of people with way less than me. And I'm also sure there's people with way more than me, but I'm just sharing just to be transparent and to show where I'm at, how I think about money, and how's my journey so far. And hopefully this is helpful or interesting, but if nothing else, it's just an honest snapshot of my net worth currently. With that out of the way, I just want to give a little background on me before I jump into the numbers. So I'm 34 years old and I graduated college a bit later than most. I was 26 years old, and which I think a lot of people can probably relate to. And I studied accounting and I worked as an accountant for about 2 years after graduating. So that job taught me a lot about money and what like having a big boy job was like. But it also made me realize like pretty quickly, it wasn't something I wanted to spend my next 30 or 40 years doing. So eventually I started a cleaning business and over time that became my main focus. And looking back, that choice was probably like the biggest impact on my finances. And you'll see why when I show you my net worth. And with that context, what you're going to notice is that my financial situation today is way more complex. I'm married and have young kids at home. So there are way more moving parts compared to when I was younger. And because of that, I have to be way more intentional and how we manage money and how I think about decisions. So we live in Boston area. And if you know anything about Boston, it's the cost of living and the real estate here, it's really expensive. Right now, a big focus for me is stability. Things like paying down the mortgage and planning ahead for the kids, especially long-term goals like college. At the same time, I don't think money is all about saving every dollar and never enjoying it. For me, money is about freedom and experiences, things like being able to travel, spend time together, and having options without stressing over every single little dollar. Day to day, I'm a pretty frugal person by nature, and I mostly spend on things that we actually need. And that balance between enjoying life now and planning ahead really shapes how I manage my money today. And you're going to see it in the numbers. Now that you know a bit about my background, let's get into numbers, starting with liabilities. On the liability side, it's pretty straightforward. I really only have one main liability, which is the mortgage. And the mortgage balance is about $850,000. So we actually crossed this milestone pretty recently. I bought my first house a few months ago. I don't have any student loans. I don't have credit card debts, no car loans. And having a mortgage definitely made things way more complicated. But for us, it was a long-term choice and it made sense for the family. But I'm very grateful to be in this position and having a big home for a family of 4. And I won't take this for granted. So that's really it on the liability side. So on the asset side, I'm going to start with cash and liquidity. So I don't typically have like an emergency fund. Instead, I keep about $100,000 with my brokerage account, Fidelity, and that earns 4.5%. This money is fully liquid. So if anything happens, I can withdraw it pretty quickly. And the goal here is to keep the cash here and let it grow at a good rate, and also give my family flexibility and a peace of mind. I like keeping it here because I can also invest when opportunities come up and I don't have to keep moving money around. And the rest of the cash, it's just my regular checking account. And I use that for day-to-day expenses. From there, the next category is retirement accounts. So I have a few different retirement accounts from different stages of my career. I have a 401k, a Roth IRA, and a SEP IRA. And the 401k was when I was working as an accountant earlier in my career. And I was contributing to it consistently at the time. So I won't go too deep into each of my accounts, but across all my retirement accounts, roughly combined, is like $575,000. And I kept investing pretty simple here. I just invest in 2 things there, VOO and VTI. And I don't time the market, so every year I just buy it and I keep it there. The SEP IRA makes up the bulk of this because it's tied to my business. Another account that I have is an HSA, a health savings account. And on that account, I have $35,000. It's not something I use day to day for medical expenses. It's a family safety net, something for the family and 2 kids. And having 2 kids can be very expensive and also very unpredictable. But that money, I let it compound in there. And then later in life when medical costs way more, we can possibly use it. It's not something that a lot of people talk about, right? But if you're eligible for an HSA account, it can be very tax efficient. So just something that you can think about. So the next account we have is a college savings for the kids. And this is a 529 college plan we set up through Fidelity. And it invests in simple S&P 500. And right now the balance for that is just under $10,000. And we've been building this gradually with a long-term mindset. We just want money sitting here to compound over time. And the goal is just to add to it every year. And we hope that it's going to cover a meaningful portion of the college costs. But this is still too early. And it's great to start earlier than later, especially when you have kids. So after that, let's talk about my taxable brokerage accounts. Across Fidelity and Vanguard combined, there's about $2 million here. And this is just money that's not tied to a retirement account or college savings. And this money is fully flexible. And just like my other accounts, I keep it simple here. I just invest in the S&P 500. And this is my long-term money, but it's there if I ever need it and if anything comes up. So the next piece is our house. And we just recently bought a house pretty recently. So there isn't any equity built up at all. And this is going to pull your net worth down a lot in the short term, but that's pretty normal, especially when you buy a house. So a lot of people think a house is a great investment, but honestly, there's so much ongoing costs like maintenance, taxes, and just like general costs of owning the house. And for us, this wasn't a money choice. It was more about stability and having more space for the kids and having a place that we can stay long term. So over time, I'm sure the equity will build. And right now, I'm just going to focus on raising the family. So when you add everything up, my net worth comes out to roughly 2.7 million. And that number itself isn't really the point for me. For where I'm at life right now, with the family and kids and long-term horizon, this is really about building stability, being flexible, and a peace of mind. A lot of this have been results of being consistent over time rather than doing things flashy or keeping things complicated. All right, so there you have it. That's my net worth. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Did anything surprise you at all? Was it helpful? So I keep my investing pretty simple and it's worked well for me. So let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, consider subscribing and I'll keep making videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.